I always forget what month it is. Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. We are discussing the 5 books that I read in the month of April. I only read 5 books, which is actually pretty good considering I feel like I have not read at all this month. But hey, so 5 is pretty good. My average is always like 7 or 8. What can you do? What can you do? I was trying to spend a lot of time with my boyfriend because I love my boyfriend. I actually need to know what I rated these, so I need to go on my Notion. Okay, bessies. So the very first book that I read this month, well, in April, starting off strong, was Direbound by Sable Sorensen. I rated this a 4.5 stars. I absolutely loved it. There was just like some moments where I was like angry with the main female character because I was like, this is so obvious. Like how are you being so stupid right now? That's the only reason I didn't rate it like higher. I think I just been in a slump all month, so like it could affect my ratings and stuff. But I did really love it, and I immediately pre-ordered Furybound, which it released today. So I just got my copy of Furybound, which I will be reading pretty much immediately. I think I'm just going to be reading The Assassin's Blade before getting into that, and I'm so excited to continue. The only thing is that it's obviously a trilogy, so I'm gonna have to wait for so long after Furybound. Probably like another year at least. This is about our main female character, Marin, and she's always hated royalty, the bonded people. Basically, the bonded people are people who went into these bonding trials and are now bonded to dire wolves, and they have powers because of these dire wolves, and they basically help the army with dealing with the what are they called? Like vampire people, but they call it different in here. Siphons, maybe? I don't remember. But anyways, she's always hated the bonded people because they act privileged and blah 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 blah. She has never planned on being in the army or being a bonded rider until one day her sister gets kidnapped by the siphons. So she enlists into the army, but finds out that she's actually going to be in the bonded trial because the bonded trials only happen every few years, but they're a complete surprise. So then it doesn't deter people from entering the army, because if you go into the bonding trials, there's a good chance that you're going to die because like there's like thousands of people that enter these trials, but only 100 get to be bonded. So people are killing each other and yada yada yada. So she finds out that she's actually entered into the bonding trials. So you kind of go through with her through the bonding trials and learning a bunch of stuff about herself, about other people. And there's also a love triangle. I won't tell you who I'm rooting for, but it's pretty obvious. The second that you meet this person, you're just like, yes. Yes. So yes, I'm excited for the next one because this one kind of ended on a little cliffhanger. And yeah. Next, I read Verity by Colleen Hoover. I'm so happy that I finally got this off of my TBR. I think I've had it for like 3 years now. Like, it's actually crazy. But I rated it a 4.25, which is pretty good. Now, this is like a mystery thriller type of thing. So, more of a thriller, I think. I don't really think it's a mystery. But yeah, so I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm excited for the movie to come out. I think it comes out in October of this year. I literally told my best friend, I go, did you read the book? She goes, no. I'm like, well, you must read it before October so we can go watch the movie. And she's like, okay. So I'm excited to go watch the movie, see how it's like interpreted, especially since the ending, there's an alternate ending. Well, not an alternate ending. There's an ending where you can interpret it however you feel. Like it could be one way or the other, but it's the reader that ultimately decides what they feel the ending is like. So I'm excited to see how that's going to play out in the movie. But basically, there's this. Is her name Lowen? Yeah, this girl named Lowen. She's having a hard time financially, and her agent um has set up a meeting for her, and she goes into this meeting, and basically, this guy and the writing agent is talking about her taking over a book series from a very famous author named Verity. So Verity has a contract of writing 9 books, and she's only released 6. It's only around those numbers, but she got into a very bad car accident and she's not able to complete the series. So they are hiring Lowen to ghostwrite the rest of the series, and she hesitantly agrees. And then so she goes to Verity's house with the husband and kind of just goes through the office to do some research, find some notes, yada, yada, yada. And then some things start happening, and she uncovers some secrets. And yeah, things go down. So I really enjoyed it. I pretty much binged it. It's also on Kindle Unlimited. So is Diary Bound. Diary Bound is also on Kindle Unlimited. So yeah, 4.25. I enjoyed it. I really enjoy Colleen Hoover's thrillers. I don't really enjoy her romances that much. I mean, I say that. I only read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Like, that's a romance. And I enjoyed it because I could relate to the story and stuff like that. But I have no desire to pick up any other romance of hers. But I did love Verity, and then I loved Layla. I feel like there was another one. I don't remember, but yeah. I read Zodiac Academy The Awakening. This is the first book in the Zodiac Academy series. So I am, in fact, starting my Zodiac Academy journey. Like, this is crazy. I'm going with Zodiac Academy and Throne of Glass at the same time. Like, what is happening with me? 2 series that I have intimidated me. I've started. What? Anyways, I rated this a 4.25. I really did enjoy it. It's also on Kindle Unlimited. I read this for a TBR takedown thing for my TikTok, so I pretty much binged it to continue with my TikTok, but I still loved it. Obviously, I gave it a 4.25, and I am planning on reading the second book this month, so obviously, I enjoyed it. And yeah, so this is about Tori and what's her name? Darcy. Tori and Darcy, they're twins, and they have been struggling all their life because parents their parents died, I think, and so they were put in the foster system and no one really wanted to keep them. So now that they're 18 years old, they kind of just they're not in the foster system anymore and they kind of just barely get by. And so one day Tori's out trying to get money and stuff like that, and then this mysterious guy shows up and is like, I need to talk to you. And she's like, absolutely not. And then he ends up following her to the apartment and kind of like trances them to kind of listen to what he has to say. And basically, he's saying that now that they're 18, their powers have been awoken, and that's how they figured out where they are, and blah, 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 blah. Now they need to go with him to an alternate realm, which is called Solaria, and attend the school called the Zodiac Academy. So then they end up going because he's saying that they're gonna get a big inheritance and whatever, and they're like, perfect, I need money. So they end up going and they find out that they're actually heirs to the throne because their real parents were the king and queen of Solaria. So they're actually Fae, and so now they have to kind of navigate their powers and what their powers are and yada yada yada, trying to figure out the world, and while also dealing with the heirs that are currently like in position of taking the throne because the twins weren't like a thing. They thought they were dead. So like these heirs, there's 4 of them. They go to school with the twins, obviously, and they're making their life absolutely miserable. So just letting you know, it is a bully romance type of thing. So if you're not into that, you're not going to be into this. One of the twins ends up falling in love with one of the heirs, even though the heirs are big bullies to them. That's it. Next, I read Next to You by Hannah Bonham Young. I rated this a 4.75. I absolutely loved it. I'm a little shocked that I did not rate it a 5-star, to be quite honest. I've said multiple times that I love Hannah Bonham Young, and I've read Out on a Limb and Next of Kin by her, and I've rated them both 5 stars, so I immediately was like, this is gonna be a 5-star. They're also like, I love just binging these books. Like, they're so easy to binge. I basically binged it in less than 24 hours. Like, yeah. But I only gave it a 4.75 because I feel like between them getting together and then, so they got together. Actually, they didn't even get together. They were in a fake relationship, and then, well, not fake relationship. They were in a friends with benefits type of thing, and then she cooled it off because she didn't want him to get too attached because she doesn't want to settle down. And then they were separated for like a few months so she could work on herself and blah 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 blah. They realized that they can't live without each other. She goes and finds him, and then they end up proposing to each other. So that kind of like threw me off a little bit. So that's why it wasn't a 5, because I felt like that was a little crazy and a little rushed. Not gonna lie. But anyways, this is about Lane and Matt, and basically Lane is having a midlife crisis. Not midlife, like quarter life crisis. I don't know how old she is. I think she might be 30 or something. She's having a crisis. And one day she gets drunk and she buys a school bus off a marketplace, and she has a brilliant idea of renovating the bus. So her and Matt go on a road trip to get said bus, come back, and then start renovating the bus and whatever. And while they're renovating the bus, they start admitting their feelings for each other, because they've always had feelings for each other, but Lane has kind of pushed it back because she doesn't want him to get too attached, because she's not the type to settle down and blah blah blah, and he is. So she kind of pulled back and stuff until one day, while they're renovating the bus, they kind of hook up and decide to be friends with benefits. And then, yeah, I loved it. I loved it. I just wish there was also more of the renovating element to it. That's it. That's it. That's all. Okay, guys, I'm like editing this video right now, and I think I need to explain a little bit more about Next to You. I also really love Hannah Bonham Young's books because they have really great representation of certain topics. Next to You is a great representation of grief. So basically, Lane lost her dad when she was really young because of a car accident, and so her entire life she has been blaming herself for this car accident and the fact that her dad died and yada yada yada. But then she also, the reason why she does not want Matt to get attached and does not want to be in a long-term relationship and doesn't want to settle down is because that she is so convinced that every relationship will end that way, because she's seen her mom break down because of her dad passing and stuff like that. So she does not want to experience the same thing, so she figures that if she gets into a relationship, then Matt's just gonna pass away, and so she doesn't want to get attached and doesn't want to settle down just in case. So there's really great representation of grief, and she ends up working on herself and going to therapy to stop thinking that way. So I just thought I'd come on here and explain that. The last book that I read this month was Heir of the Wolf by Miranda Harvey. This is a second book in the Into the Rift series, and I read this as an arc. I also read the first book, Blood of the Hunted, as an arc as well. I rated it a 4 stars. I really did like it, and it was a good second book, but it just felt a little repetitive to me of the first book, if that makes sense. It felt like we were kind of in the same point, same place that we ended the first book in. So I don't know how the third book is going to be looking like. This follows Luca and Zara, and basically they met in the first book, and Luca kind of fell in love with Zara from a distance, but it's kind of forbidden because he is a guardian of the Rift, which is a portal between Earth and his realm Wonder, and basically humans are not allowed to know what Wonder is or be in Wonder at all until one thing happened to Zara and he had no choice but to bring her through the Rift. And so they kind of explored the realm and blah, 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 blah. And then they kind of had to be separated at the end of the first book because she's not supposed to know about it anyways. So they got separated at the end so then he can go through trials and whatever to kind of convince the council to let Zara kind of come in and out of Wonder and Earth. And so that's kind of like where we left off in the second book. Luca is trying to find a way to get back to Zara without breaking any rules and stuff like that. But then another guy that's close with Luca had come to him asking for help because there was an issue with this guy's daughter. She is pregnant and needs to get through the rift to Earth, or else people are hunting her and she's gonna die. And he's kind of like, no, I can't do that because then it would like affect my chances of seeing Zara in the future and whatever. Until he finally caves and his whole thing, and Zara gets involved. They come back to Wonder, and then they kind of explore more parts of the world that we didn't see in the first book, and it was more focused on like werewolves and stuff, which is really fun. But then something happened with Zara. She figured out something about herself, and so now Luca and Zara have to be separated again so she can figure out things without him there, if that makes sense. So I feel like we're at the same point in the end of this book that we were at the end of the first book, but in a different way. So I'm excited to see how it is in the third book. I don't know how many books are going to be in the series. Maybe it's just a trilogy. I'm not too sure. And I'm not sure when it's going to be released or anything. I know that this Blood of the Hunted and Heir of the Fire are out now, so but they were pretty good. So like they're only 300 pages as well, like each of them. So they're quick, easy, fun reads, and the chapters are short, so you feel like you're not really reading for that long of a time. So, anyways, these are all the books that I read in the month of April. I enjoyed every single one of them. Obviously, the lowest rated is a 4-star. So, I mean, it's a pretty good reading month considering that I didn't read that much. But yeah, I recommend every single one of these books. And let me know if you guys read any of these books or if you're planning on it. And please like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.